In this video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of living in Mobile, Alabama. Now at the very end, we're going to talk about the one thing that you absolutely have to know. So be sure and like and subscribe and hit the little bell notification so you'll be notified every time there's a brand new video. So let's dive in. Hey, my name is Jeff Jones with Keller Williams Realty right here in the heart of Mobile, Alabama. I've lived here all my life, so I'm always making videos about the pros and cons, the cost of living, all the details about what it's like to actually live in Mobile. So go ahead and click the like and subscribe button so you're notified every time we launch a new video. And hit that little bell notification so you're notified. But hey, if you're considering moving to Mobile or have any questions, be sure and call or text to the number on the screen. We're always getting calls from people who are moving to the area and want to know details. And any way we can help, we'd be glad to. So one of the pros of living in Mobile is definitely the cost of living. I mean, the gas is very cheap compared to the rest of the country. In fact, I'm pretty sure we're in the top 5 of the cheapest states in the entire country when it comes to gas. So every time I fill up, I'm definitely grateful for that. So living in Mobile definitely has its pluses when it comes to the cost of living. Now, when it comes to housing, absolutely. You can actually live in a 4,000 square foot house on an acre of property for less than $500,000. I mean, you can live in a mansion in Mobile, Alabama for $500,000. You can't say that about every other place around the country. Another thing, our property tax is very, very reasonable. So I'll give you an example. On a $300,000 property, the property tax is probably in the $1,200 to $1,300 per year range, and that is a huge bonus. Now, the downside of that, I'll say with the sales tax. We do have high sales tax, it's around 10%, but overall, it's definitely a pro living in Mobile when it comes to the cost of living. I mean, it's amazing how far your dollar will stretch. Now, a con of living in Mobile, some people would say, well, you really don't have a major sports team. But to that, I would say, well, last year I went to the Saints game in New Orleans, drove over for the day. It was incredible. So honestly, to me, it's not that big of a deal. And we do have a really strong sports program for the youth. So lots of involvement there. So that is definitely a pro. But I would agree, there's not a major sports team, but we live in the state of Alabama, and the University of Alabama football program is one of the strongest in the entire United States. So I guess just being in Alabama is good enough. I don't know. Some people might disagree with me, the Auburn fans. And let me just say in regard to that, there's a huge rivalry between the University of Alabama and Auburn University. So football in Alabama is a huge thing, a huge thing. Now, as far as concerts, Mobile has some concerts, but again, we're really close to New Orleans, so it's not that big of a deal. And then Pensacola gets a pretty good amount of concerts as well. So is it a con? I guess it just depends on how you take it. Now, another pro of living in Mobile would have to be the weather. Now, I know today, it's overcast, but for the most part, it's pretty in Mobile. A lot of folks come from up north, they come down here and they think they've died and gone to heaven because it hardly ever snows. And when I say never snows, I mean it snows like once every, 3 or 4 years maybe. And when it does, it's this huge deal. I mean, people freak out, they shut down the schools, everything. So it does not snow much in Mobile at all. And the weather is really nice. Now, it is kind of hot, but we'll talk about that later. Now, a con of living in Mobile, I will have to say, it again can be the weather. Weather has a lot of pros, but also it's hot in Mobile. So you just kind of have to know going into it, hey, in the summer, it's going to be hot. And oftentimes your air conditioner will run from around 10 o'clock in the morning until around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So that's not uncommon in Mobile. But then in the winter, we have very, very mild winters. So keep that in mind. If you're looking at coming to Mobile, the weather overall is really good. Now, but you can't forget about the hurricanes. We do have our share of hurricanes. There have been several in our history. I've lived through several of them. But hey, we all recovered, and the people of Mobile are incredibly resilient. We don't seem to let anything get us down. Now, a pro of living in Mobile has got to be the strong economy. We have some great employers, Austal, Airbus, got the Alabama port downtown, lots of industry. So, and not to mention just north of Mobile, There are a lot of plants. There's a lot going on in Mobile when it comes to economy, so that's a good thing. And with the cost of living that's so low, I mean, it's a thriving economy. So that is definitely a pro. And the good news is we have a strong support system for education. So you've got the University of South Alabama, you've got Spring Hill College, University of Mobile, Bishop State, the Coastal Alabama Community College. It's like a collection of junior colleges that came together. So overall, it's definitely a pro as far as the economy is concerned and with higher education. There are a lot of things going on in Mobile. It's an exciting time to live here. A con of living in Mobile, well, Mobile's not the most walkable city, I will say. But hey, if you live in the suburbs like West Mobile, you're just going to have a car. That's just part of life. That's what it's like to live in Mobile. But if you go downtown, downtown is thriving. There's so much going on downtown with new businesses, restaurants. It's been an exciting thing to see all of the development go on in downtown. Now, one thing I will say, we do have a mass transit system. I don't know if I'd say it's that mass, but it definitely is a system with a lot of buses, network in that regard. But overall, if you live in Mobile, you're going to have a car. So one of my favorite new places in downtown Mobile, you can see it with the sign there, it's called Mo Bay Beignet. And I got to tell you something. A lot of people talk about New Orleans being famous for beignets. Well, this place, and I've had them both, this place is number one. Love this place. So if you come to downtown Mobile, you need to stop in Mo Bay Beignet. It's amazing. So this is my first time on a scooter actually, but I wanted to give you guys some pretty cool footage. This is a pretty amazing Catholic church. Let's see if we can get that. And I'm sure you can tell with the view in the background, like I mentioned earlier about the rain, well, there you have it. Yep, the rain, can't let it bother you. So here I'm standing in front of the mall. It used to be called the Bel Air Mall, and then I guess it changed names a couple times. Now it's the Shops at Bel Air. Standing in front of the P.F. Chang's, you've got a Brazilian steakhouse down there. So this mall has a pretty good selection. Then across the street, there's another mall. And then if you go over to the Eastern Shore, take the I-10 bridge, then they've got a whole lot of shopping over there as well. So I'd say the shopping overall is pretty good. You pretty much find what you need here in Mobile. Another pro of living in Mobile, it has got to be the food. And not just food in general. You know, when you think of great food, you think of cities like San Francisco where they have this huge eclectic, just a wide array of different types of food. In Mobile, our specialty is seafood. And when I say it's the best, I mean it is the best. Some of the best seafood in the entire world is found right here on the Gulf Coast. We've got some great restaurants. You've got the Original Oyster House. You've got Felix's. You've got Winsel's. Craver's, that's my favorite. They have a location out in West Mobile where I live. And so lots of great seafood in Mobile. The problem is sometimes the folks in Mobile, I think they take it for granted because they're just so used to it. It's always been that way. So Mobile, a pro, is definitely amazing seafood. Now, I'm going to have to say that a con of living in Mobile right now would have to be the airport situation. Now, the reason I say right now is because there is a movement to migrate the airport from where it currently is out in West Mobile, which is where I live, so I kind of like it, but it's not as convenient for everyone in Mobile. So it's currently in West Mobile, but there is I guess a push to have the airport moved from West Mobile to downtown area to an airport called Brookley. Brookley has a strong past. It was, I mean, so many amazing things happened at Brookley a long time ago, but it just hasn't done a lot in the last few years. So there's this huge push to move it down there. And once that happens, it's going to be a game changer for so many people, because then the airport in Mobile becomes a really strong, viable option for the people on the Eastern Shore, people in Pensacola. Then it's just not that big of a deal. It's a drive on the interstate and you're there. So even though it might be a con right now, in the future, it will definitely be a pro. One huge pro about living in Mobile has got to be that it's really close to the beach. Now, most people, when they think about the beach in Mobile, you think that it's close to Gulf Shores or Orange Beach. But we can't forget about this little hidden gem called Dauphin Island. It's only about 30 minutes from Mobile. You could leave in the morning, go to the beach, and be back by lunchtime if you wanted to. It's really close, really convenient, and beautiful. They also have a ferry that takes you from Dauphin Island over to Gulf Shores. So if you want to do that, you can check that out. It's a lot of fun. It's not expensive. I've done it several times. But also, you also cannot forget that it's close to Pensacola Beach. Now, Pensacola Beach, it's massive. There are a lot of folks down there, and then of course you keep going east through Florida. You've got Pensacola, you've got Destin, you've got the whole area called 30A. It goes on down to Panama City. I mean, it's just a great beach area, and a lot of folks come to Mobile because it's close to the beach. So I'm sitting at the busiest intersection in West Mobile. It's at the corner of Airport Boulevard and Schillinger Road. Now be careful if you move to Mobile, that's Schillinger, not Schillingers. That'll get you in trouble. But so I'm sitting here, it's basically lunchtime. So as you can tell, let's give a little view of the traffic. Pretty busy intersection, but that's just West Mobile. And then it'll calm down, and then it'll pick back up around, I guess, rush hour, and then it goes down from there, pretty calm. So overall, the traffic in Mobile is not too bad, but Airport Boulevard is notorious for having that bad reputation. But hey, consider it comparing it to like Atlanta. I mean, you go anywhere in Atlanta, you got to pack a lunch. So Mobile is definitely not like that. And the traffic overall, well, it's not too bad. Now, I don't want to stop the video without giving a couple of honorable mentions about the pros and cons of living in Mobile. You know, one of the things that we're most known for is Mardi Gras. Now, let me say this. Most people think Mardi Gras, they think New Orleans. Actually, Mardi Gras started in Mobile, Alabama. That's right. You heard it right here in this video. It started in Mobile, Alabama. Look it up. You'll find the proof. New Orleans, they don't like to talk about that. But it is true. Mardi Gras started in Mobile, Alabama, and from about mid-January for, I don't know, a month and a half or so, Mobile, it's all Mardi Gras. It's crazy. You come downtown, you know, they're blocked off streets, they're balls every night, every other night, sometimes 2 a night, parades, sometimes on Saturday you'll have 2 or 3, Sunday, but it is a party in Mobile, Alabama when it comes to Mardi Gras, so that made honorable mention for sure. I mentioned it in the video earlier where the number one thing you must know before moving to Mobile, and that's how to pronounce it. Anytime I call customer service or I'm out of town and somebody asks where I'm from, they always mispronounce it and they'll say mobile or some other strange pronunciation, but it is Mobile. Mobile. Say it with me. Mobile. So Mobile is how you say it. Work on that before you get here, because if you mispronounce it, they will instantly know that you're an out-of-towner. So just to wrap up the details of living in Mobile, the pros and cons, I've lived here my entire life. I love it. My whole family lives within 15 minutes of my house. It's just a great place to raise a family. And so for me, I couldn't think of a better place. I'm never gonna move. I'm always gonna live right here. If you ever have any questions, or you're just curious, like, hey, what's it like? What's the moving process like? I'd love to help you any way that I can. And I'll show you video. If you write me a message and you say, hey, I want to know a little bit about this area or whatever, I'll go over and snag some video and I'll send it to you. So call the number on the screen, text me, shoot me a message, anything at all I can do, and I'll help you with any questions you have about living in Mobile.